Welcome, educators. Today we are diving into the letter J to explore Jennifer Serravallo's absolutely transformative approach to reading conferences. If you're a teacher who sometimes feels like you're constantly correcting students during reading time, and hey, we have all been there, this explainer is going to show you how to completely elevate your instruction. Let's get right into it. So think about this for a second. What actually happens when we tell a struggling reader what they are doing right? As teachers, our first instinct is usually to jump right in and fix the mistakes, isn't it? We care deeply about our kids, so naturally we want to correct those errors. But I really want to challenge that instinct today, because shifting our focus from what's wrong to what's right can completely change a student's trajectory. Let me share a quick story with you from my time coaching in the state's Growing Readers program. We were working with teachers on conferring with students, and we introduced this idea of the compliment conference. You know what happened when teachers actually started naming what students were doing well? The emotional transformation was just incredible. I literally saw their eyes light up. I saw their shoulders relax. I saw them sit a little taller. Some of these kids were so used to constantly hearing what they needed to fix, they were visibly surprised to just be told what they were doing right. Now, I know this represents a massive paradigm shift for a lot of us. It is just so easy to default to identifying deficits and telling students, hey, fix this. But intentionally naming strengths, looking a student in the eye and saying, this is what you did well, isn't just fluff. It is instruction with humanity. It builds incredible trust, and let me tell you, that trust makes every single other instructional moment so much easier. So let's define exactly what we are talking about here. A compliment conference is a core concept that brilliantly supports the science of reading. Basically, it's a responsive reading structure where you, the teacher, sit beside a student, listen, name exactly what they're doing well, and then offer a specific strategy to move them forward. To be clear, this isn't just walking around the room giving high fives. It is highly intentional, highly personalized support. Think of it this way. The compliment opens the door, and the strategy gives the student the next step. In the science of reading, we know for a fact that students absolutely need explicit instruction, but they also need confidence, right? The compliment provides that safety and affirmation they need to actually take a risk. Once they feel seen and affirmed, they are far more willing to tackle that explicit strategy you're about to teach them. Classroom Connections, putting compliments into practice. Let's look at how we can actually apply this framework to your daily routines, whether that's during independent reading or small groups. Here is your simple, actionable formula for when you pull up a chair next to a reader. Step 1, listen and observe the student in front of you. Step 2, give a specific compliment. And I mean specific, not just general praise, but naming a concrete reading behavior. Step 3, teach one targeted strategy based on their immediate need. And step 4, send them off to practice that strategy with real purpose. It really is that clear cut. So what do those compliments actually sound like in action? Let's start with decoding and word solving. Notice how these compliments praise the student's process and effort rather than just the final result. You might say, I noticed you didn't guess. You looked through the whole word. Or maybe, you kept working through that tricky word instead of giving up. These statements are powerful because they reinforce the exact behaviors strong readers use, showing the student exactly what they need to keep doing. We can absolutely do the same thing for fluency and comprehension. When a student is reading out loud, you might lean in and say, wow, you read with expression and it really helped the story come alive. If they're monitoring their own understanding, call it out. Say something like, you noticed when something didn't make sense and went back to reread. By naming that specific behavior out loud, you solidify it right there in the student's mind. But perhaps the most profound of all are reading identity compliments. Things like, you stayed focused even when the text became challenging, or you used a strategy without even waiting for me to remind you. These phrases go way beyond just decoding letters on a page. They help students fundamentally build their reading identity. They begin to see themselves not as struggling readers, but as capable, strategic, and independent learners. And you know what? The magic doesn't have to stop at the classroom door. Once you've had this conference, share the strategy with their families to bridge that school and home practice. When teachers do this, it's amazing. Students return the next day incredibly excited to show off their progress. They'll literally come running up to you saying, I tried what you told me. That's when you know the conference has become a true bridge between instruction, practice, and real confidence. Let's pause here for a quick moment of teacher reflection. How can you shift your feedback to name a student's strengths before correcting them? What is one specific idea from this explainer that you will apply today when you sit beside a reader? Take just a second to mentally commit to making that one small shift. Because when you lean in beside a student, give a genuine, specific compliment, teach a targeted strategy, and watch them walk away truly believing I can do this, that is powerful. That is teaching. That is the kind of reading instruction students remember forever. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Who is the one student in your classroom today whose entire reading trajectory could change just by hearing you name exactly what they are doing right? Go find them and start there.